I don't know if I've been more excited about an unscripted episode than being right here in Richmond, Virginia, Heights Church, with my amazing wife. Yes. We don't get to be on this much together.
Yeah.
So this is Unscripted with Delynn Rizzo, but then some of our best, greatest people that we're proud of, and that is Josh and Crystal Whitlow. We love you guys.
Love you.
Thanks for being a part of Unscripted.
So glad to have you guys here. It's been amazing.
Well, Unscripted is, we don't let you know anything we're going to talk about. You didn't know we were going to be up here.
I'm nervous. I'm like leaning back.
In this amazing foyer of this space and facility that you've been in about 6 or 7 months. And I mean, what an incredible facility. We've loved our time here. We got to meet with some kingdom builders last night. We were having a great weekend, of course. And then to be here in this space, that has just been a step of faith. But it's been a step of faith from the beginning. I mean, you tell us when you planted your church, and give us a little bit about those early days, because we're ARC. We plant churches, you help plant churches, and then you love church planters. And so what was that early beginning days of church planting?
Oh my goodness, it was everything that you hear, everything that you think about that church planting is risky, scary, full of faith, full of vision, excitement, for the future. We came from a church that my dad planted in 1982 and in 2014. After being there for several years serving, they launched us and sent us out, and we came to Richmond. And just like the story that we've heard so many times from other pastors before us, go to a city, you don't know anybody, find a place you want to buy a burial plot, live there, die there, raise a family there, and all that's kind of like, I thought I was just going to plant a church. I didn't know I needed to die, to die here.
Well, you're going to die.
But you're going to die one way or another. No, but I think it was...
It was fast.
Yeah, it was fast.
It was fast for us. Yeah, it wasn't like we were dreaming and had the name and websites for years. Like, I think he told his brother took over his dad's church. And then Charlie. And that was January. You had a dream. He told his brother we went to ARC training in February, sold our house mid-April, and moved in May. And we had no clue where we were moving. We didn't know what, it was fast. And I was pregnant with our third kid.
Oh,
so we moved when I was 7 months pregnant.
Nothing like a pregnant planter. Just add that to it. And, it's interesting. You come from a ministry family. Your dad pastored a great church. It was a legend. There's 3 boys. They all pastor churches. You are a Marine. And, I was told one time that you never say you were a Marine, you are a Marine. Which I think is so important, and we honor you for that. And you felt this call to plant in Richmond. And how did you hear about ARC?
My brother. When we told my brother that we, Pastor Troy and Jill, my brother, we were serving, and I said, look, I think we're supposed to plant a church. And literally our circle was so small. I had a great church, but we knew nothing about ARC. We knew nothing about, any of these other churches that were just doing amazing things. But my brother, because of his doctorate degree, had run across some guys that had been involved with ARC, came through ARC. And so when we said we wanted to plant a church, he's like, I'm not going to release you unless you go through ARC. You need ARC. So you're going to need a playbook, you're going to need an idea, you're going to need some relationships, which for us has been the game changer for everything that we've, seen God be able to do is the people that he's brought into our lives because of that decision.
We were in a meeting the other day with Greg Surratt, who you love, Chris Hodges, who we all respect and love, and we were talking about how it's interesting how when we started ARC, I mean, Delynn and I were there in the original days. We planted a church, of course, in 92, and then, that in our name, we never put church planting. It was Association of Related Churches. And it's like, everybody's always said, why didn't you put church planting? But we felt like out of the relationship, then we could maybe we could do mission together. And do you remember anybody who planted in your class or that season? We met our best friends, our first best friends in the world at ARC.
At our training.
Wow.
We actually sat right behind. We first of all felt really you could jump in anytime. We felt really behind because it was obvious.
Yeah, everyone knew everything.
Everybody in there had website, graphic,
Where are you
logo,
going?
color, city.
You're like, I don't have to do that.
And we're like, maybe we came here too soon. We're here too soon.
Yeah.
And,
I bet I know who your best friend is.
yeah, but we sat right behind JD and Leah host.
Yeah.
And turned around and one of the breaks, and they were like, hey, we're like, we don't know anything.
Yep.
And like that, from day one, ended up planning our churches on the same day.
I just remember meeting you guys,
Yep.
and Aaliyah and JD,
Yep.
at an art conference years ago. And I feel like, for the first time, and y'all were just the most cutest, adorable couples. And I feel like one of y'all or both had strollers with babies in it.
Probably, for sure.
And y'all were like, we just met, I think, right before the training or something.
Yeah.
Y'all had connected, and I remember thinking, I love these two couples so much.
I
Do
remember
you
you telling me
remember
that.
I was like,
100%.
there's something about
I like them because you like them.
Okay, good. I usually know good people.
Right.
But
You
I
do.
just
You
remember,
married a
like,
good person.
That's right. But we were like in a hallway or about to go into a session or something, and we got to meet all of you guys and thought, wow, we've got some good ones about to start new churches.
Give me real quick those early days, interest meeting, some type of team gathering, raising money, getting to your first Sunday. Where was it?
Man.
It wasn't in this space.
No.
And look what God's done in 9 years, and you'll get to. Everyone will get to see. We'll get a tour and experience the weekend services through this. But give me a little bit of that.
Oh gosh.
Go
It was like we definitely felt unprepared. You know, the ARC was like, you need 30 people. We were like, can our children count? Like we did not.
And our neighbors' kids count.
Yeah, it was bad. And we would just talk to people in Home Depot and the mall and just random people we knew no
I
way.
remember our first interest meeting that we had. I mean, and we had learned, you guys had given such a great playbook. We followed everything. And I remember early on, we were like, shouldn't we have more people like involved in this thing or this early? ARC says we need 30, and we had like 20. And I remember the very first one, it was one of the most awkward things because we had the cart return guy from Home Depot, Best Buy cashier,
Awesome.
People.
just people, anybody that
right.
we could get, and they came. And I think those first couple, we got through it with obviously the grace and favor of God and a lot of turning up the music, so it's not so awkward. You just a little bit more food, a little bit more music.
Yes.
To try to help neutralize.
So when did y'all
those.
launch? What date?
We launched February 8th, 2015, same day as JD and Leah, and we ran that launch season, interest party season. I mean, they did our graphics for all of our interest meetings for the first 3 months.
JD and Leah did first,
JD and Leah.
Wow.
It was really cool.
What did y'all have your first Sunday?
Oh gosh.
We had 426 people.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Our first
That's
Sunday.
That is
amazing.
massive.
Well, it sounds amazing, but we had
A lot of tourists.
A lot of yes.
My
Everyone went from his
dad-
My
dad's
dad
church.
stood up in front of his church in Northern Virginia and said, if you love me, go to Richmond this Sunday. So we had about 100 people
That's
that,
all right.
that were coming from Northern
And then
Virginia.
what did
and
it dip
visited.
to?
Ooh. I don't. It was
Low
bad.
80s.
The second Sunday, we didn't even have power in the
That's
high
right.
school.
No.
There was, and it was 20 degrees
Was
outside.
that season where a lot of churches, you know what, I think there was a lot of churches that season that their second or third Sunday, all of a sudden ice storms, snowstorms.
Yes.
And that was that I remember that season.
was
February
crazy.
8th, it was
Wow.
70 degrees and sunny.
Gorgeous.
The end of that week, we had an ice snow front that lasted 2 or 3 weeks.
We ran service with an acoustic guitar, and one of the Dream Teamers had to every 15 minutes hit the what's it called? The thing that runs the power.
Generator.
Generator.
Yeah, there's people.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, and just you think about it, and you stayed committed. You didn't give up. You didn't quit. You didn't get defined by the bad Sundays, nor are you defined by the great Sundays. And you're defined by the call. And I love the reason why you're here. You talk about people experiencing God.
Yeah.
So the big thing, the big why behind the what here at Heights is you want people to experience God and their lives to change so that they can make a difference.
For sure.
And how do you say that here?
In our mission statement, we say we exist to lead people to experience the God who could change their life.
Yeah.
And that whole idea of experience, I think, comes from a lot of our story growing up as church kids, generational church kids, church families. that I think there's a lot of people that experience church and never experience God. They don't ever experience Jesus. They'll experience the location or the programming, but have you ever experienced Jesus? Like, do you know God? Yeah. And that's why coming alongside the playbook that we got from ARC was just so massive that, you know, we exist. We're gonna help people know God. We got to help people find freedom, you know, discover purpose, make a difference. And that playbook gave us language. It gave us a lane, and that's why everyone that you know that we talk to, they're like, I think I may want to plant. You may want to go to ARC. That's what you may want to do.
You can't do it without them.
And figure it out, because we wouldn't. I mean, we're so grateful.
We wouldn't have any of our friendships without ARC either. All of our friendships.
Every single one of our close relationships.
It is neat, the relationship. You know, the genesis of all our relationships, you know, your dad, Robert Berenger, Dale O'Shields, Joe Champion, John Siebling, Chris Hodges, the Bezettes, and then you get into Justin Daly, you know, on and on. There's these friendships that are all, there's this connection with these pastors. And we were talking about that because of, I mean, what a family.
What a family. I mean, we've, you know, heard about you guys' story and met a lot of their family through the years, and just the generational legacy that you guys have is unbelievable. Your mom, like, she is amazing.
She's awesome.
Beautiful, elegant woman of God. And your dad, you know, I wasn't fortunate enough to meet him before. We know he now is in heaven, but just, you know, all your brothers being in ministry, and you grew up in church, and y'all knew each other, your families.
Louisiana girl.
Louisiana girl. Woo!
You know?
We love that. But it's just, you don't see that all the time. Having three brothers, having their own churches, pastoring, and that whole dynamic. And then now you guys are leading together. And your kids, I loved seeing little Lucy, your oldest, serving last night at Kingdom Builders. And you can tell it's not you're forcing her to, she wants to. She loves the church.
She does.
So maybe tell us a little bit about the generational blessing of you guys all pastoring, and then how y'all are leading together and what you're doing individually here as a family.
Yeah.
Go ahead, baby.
Well, it's your generation. Your generation.
It's our generation.
It's ours now.
I the best people oftentimes, you know, how did you know, you got 9 years, or look what God's done, and it's so amazing. But for Crystal and I, we still look at each other and we were like, we didn't really do anything to deserve this or we really feel like that we're standing on a generational blessing that has been passed down
100%.
From great-grandparents to grandparents to my parents, now to us. And so we view it as needing to be generational stewards of what's been passed on to. We're not spiritual entrepreneurs for our family. You know, we're a steward of the blessing that's been given, and what's been amazing is so much of the team now and the people that we're doing life with, they're becoming this first generation spiritual entrepreneur for their family that's going to change generations to come.
That's awesome.
And so for us, it's just been a humbling realization. This is God. You're the generational God that keeps loving, serving, pouring out your blessing, even to the fourth and fifth generation.
I sent a picture last night when y'all were on stage together to Lee Domain. And I know how much Lee and Laura mean to us. And we've been friends for 25, 30 years. And they mean a lot to you guys. And I just sent a picture to them. And you know, the thing that, and I told him, I said, man, this couple gets it. You get honor, you get respect.
Totally.
You're positive, you're encouraging. And honor, I mean, what you just said is you're honoring the legacy, the history. So the church was planted 9-10 years ago, but when did your dad launch a church? 82?
My dad launched in 1982.
But even before that, he was doing...
He was in Belton, South Carolina. Before
mission,
that,
evangelism.
They went to Lima, Peru for missions for their honeymoon. They got married and went to Peru.
So the church started 9 years, but it kind of started 50 years ago.
Right.
And I think that is a good thing for the next generation to understand. I think that's why people love y'all. You know, is because you get honor. You're always honoring, and it's not weird. It's not self-serving. It's not, but it's healthy. In this environment. So you're around your staff. Your staff's that way. It's a 5-star staff. Caring for people. Last night in the foyer, this weekend, caring for people. I mean, you built this amazing building, which is phenomenal. But then right next to it, you have a grocery experience. So you're merging this experience, world-class space for church, with world-class compassion for those that don't have groceries. And what's interesting last night is not only did you talk about the space at Kingdom Builders, but your big excited vision was we're about to open up a grocery store. So it's like, man, thank God for everybody getting saved, but let's talk about everybody getting fed. Where does that come from?
That comes, honestly, I think, from you, from Servolution, from ARC, from all the people, our forerunners. That paved the way. My parents were massive in outreach. They had something called Messiah's Market.
They did.
Messiah's
Market that we saw growing up. We were like, we need to go to Messiah's Market. We need some eggs.
We need some eggs.
And you can go to Messiah's Market and get your groceries.
Get you some cheese.
But I'll never forget something shifted in our church in 2019, and it was with my dad, and we had been celebrating some early on success. The church was growing, and it had been a tough season before that. So me and Crystal were just everybody high-fiving. Look what God did. This is amazing. You get those seasons where it's like, oh, it feels good now.
Oh man,
this is amazing. And I was
Mo's on our side,
and we had a record-breaking attendance on a Sunday, and my dad and mom happened to be in town, and I'll never forget. I told my dad, I said, Dad, we just broke this number, and I told him the number. And my dad was like, son, that is so amazing. I just don't want you to build something big that doesn't weigh anything.
Wow.
You're just like, okay, thanks, Dad.
And I'm like,
so true.
And it's like,
so good.
There was this deep, it was prophetic.
100%.
It was spirit-filled. It was anointed.
It was Pentecostal.
And you'll never forget that.
And it sat on us so heavy, and really started a conversation within our staff, our team, between me and Crystal. We don't want to build a big building. We don't even want to build what good is a big church if it doesn't have any weight?
That's right.
If it's not meeting every need that it possibly can. That's how the whole idea of the grocery.
What does it mean exactly? Like the grocery store. You go in and you, like a grocery store.
Give us a minute on how it works.
We were trying to figure that out.
We partner with a Feed More food bank here locally in the area. And it's not free, to us, but we're able to go get food. It is a Monday through Saturday operation.
For sure.
They're gathering all of the food Monday through Friday. Friday, we're stocking the grocery. And the very next day, Saturday, it's happening actually as we speak right now. There'll have been over.
We'll make sure we show footage of that.
Today there will be about over 300 people that'll be fed.
That will go through.
So they go pick out their groceries?
They get to pick it out. And that's the big thing. We didn't realize, we had a couple in our church. We talk about it all the time. Every member's a minister, and sweet couple in our church. They were leading another food pantry somewhere that was shutting down during COVID, and they're like, there's a huge need. And so we're like, we want to do it.
A bunch of the pantries never opened back up after COVID.
Right.
You're right.
So there was a massive need.
And he saw it, and he knew it on this side of town. So Josh said, well, if we're going to do it, I want to give them dignity. I want to do it this way. I don't want to just do it where it's just a box truck or a table in a parking lot. Like, I want to give them something, a different experience.
It is an experience.
It's a different experience.
It felt one of those different experiences that when they walked into it, their self-worth would be elevated. They would be experiencing not just food, but experiencing worth.
Great.
Love.
It's an outreach idea. I mean, when you say grocery experience, I text one of our team at Highlands. Highlands, like you, we do so much, and we have generous people, and I have a very generous pastor. That I was like, oh, grocery experience. That's the new language.
Great.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Unscripted. We just want to take a brief moment to say thank you so much to Master's Plan for making this episode possible. Let me tell you something about Master's Plan. This is a national
partner to churches who are looking to renovate, expand, repurpose a building, relocate, start a new campus, or build a new construction. They will be with you from the very first moment that you discover the need to the first Sunday of celebrating what God has done in the dedication of a new space. And they have a successful history in designing and completing projects under budget. It's hard to believe 100% of the time, but it's true. They also have a free resource called Master's Plan University to educate you on the building process. This is super important. Make sure to check them out on our website, arcchurches.com, partners, to learn more about all that they do for us.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about ARC and being connected and relationally is you get to learn from each other. There's an idea exchange.
Definitely.
It's like, wait a minute, that works for you, man. You got. I tell people all the time, if you got a good steak, man, I'm gonna put it on my grill. Because I mean, nothing's really new.
That's
The
right.
other day I was talking to somebody that were talking about we only want to preach a new rev, my rev, and I was like, the Bible's been around a long time. I don't know if you're preaching anything new. I mean, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of things that we don't even know who they are, and which is it's just the way it works. But and so tell us. So you were in a temporary space. Were y'all doing setup and tear down?
Yep.
We were in temporary. We launched at Deep Run High School, about 3 miles from here. We were there 1 year. Got kicked out, and then we downgraded. We downgraded from the big high school, big
theater
area, to the cafetorium of elementary school.
That's normally a death blow.
Yeah, we were.
I remember, we were like, we're a year old. We're supposed to be going forward, and it just felt like.
No, now you're with French fries
and you got tater tots, on people's shoes.
Sure.
But it was amazing. In that season, we saw actually the most growth ever in our church
on a back road in the middle of nowhere.
When really all the things that we thought, and we do need all those things. You got to have visibility, you got to have great marketing, you got to have great all that stuff.
Good visibility.
But it was almost like God was already then saying, I'm going to do something that's going to rob you from the ability of taking any credit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
You can be on a back road, you can be on the main road, but if I'm not in it, it ain't going to get done.
Yeah.
And God just kind of breathed on that place.
I love it.
And on that season of our church, and it was, y'all taught us it worked.
Yeah.
If you love people, you have to lock the doors.
And then from there to this space here?
Well, it didn't look like this.
No,
not this space.
Not this space, but the other space that we were in before.
Yeah, the old CVS.
So you were able to go from the middle school or the cafeteria.
Elementary school to renting a 12,000 square foot CVS.
Yeah.
It was a CVS, that's what it was.
And how
that's
many
what I
years did we
remember.
do it? Like
CVS and the team, talk about dream team and just the people that God sent. We moved in the beginning
Did you
of
do a
April.
lot of that work yourself?
We did all of it.
I thought you
We had
did.
26 days to open up for Easter 2017.
So y'all were over there just
I mean, the whole
doing it
dream team.
yourself. You
The
and
entire
this
church.
amazing team.
Just-
There's no
what you
concept. Electrical, how does it work? Shot, figure that next everything.
Cleaning the floors.
Oh my gosh.
Scraping,
We have video
painting.
of his mom and dad doing it with us.
That's wonderful.
So your
came
parents were
back,
doing it with you.
And what you were saying, that's one of the things too, that we're so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of building God's houses.
Our kids.
What our kids get to see.
Yes.
We got video. Lucy's 14 now. She's serving with the Great Spirit, but we have video of Lucy at 4 with the scraper trying to figure out how to rip up carpet tops.
Tell us more about that, Crystal. Just
Oh my
about
gosh.
Lucy's heart and your kids and as a family building this church, planting it, building it together.
Yeah, I think we learned from his family. Of I talk to her all the time, how did you get 3 sons that are all pastors that love the Lord, and they have a sister too that loves the Lord, and
She's with us. She's with us.
She's here with us.
It's amazing.
How did you do that? And she said, we didn't give them a choice not to come, but we gave them purpose. We made them a part of it. They were always a part of it, and they always had a way to be a part of it with us. So we celebrated with each other.
Great.
Each one of them had to play instruments. Each one of them, it's funny. They were all worship leaders for the church at one point.
Love
and
it.
so that I think for us, old school. We had a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a newborn when we planted, and then when we moved in this space, I was pregnant again with our 4th. So I think we've just tried to include them in everything, and it's paying off.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of
and
them.
we have,
important.
look at the examples.
Yeah.
Y'all, all the pastors that you mentioned, the people that we have, the forerunners that we look to, of the example of, have one world. don't have
Yes.
a bunch of mini worlds and then
Right,
try to get these things to all spin and stay balanced. There's not.
Yeah.
So everything that we do, we just,
Yeah.
it's one life, one world, one family. And
It's been, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just think that's so important for our ARC churches, you know, because I think we don't want to lose our families as we're building God's house. But I think if we build His house with our families, as we're building God's house, He's going to build our house.
Absolutely.
And we've seen it time and time again. Not that we all haven't had hard moments and we haven't went through hard times with our children, in our marriages, but that God will see us through if we keep keeping on and not giving up and believing God to make the
You've been the
difference.
picture of that for me. I mean, you've just been so faithful to God, and you've been you've been a rock to our family, and I know, thank God for that. Because you got to have those relationships. We've had great relationships. I don't know where we would be.
Yes.
I mean, we can mention them.
Yes.
Our pastor, Chris Hodges, John Siebling, Steve Robinson. I mean, Jeff Little. There's so many people. Rob Ketterling, the ARC lead team. Dale O'Shields has just been a guy.
I mean, we could go on, but we better not
I know, but I'm just saying. But what's neat is in our family. I mean, your parents.
Oh, my goodness.
But the thing that I think about is you have that now in your life. You have that group of guys. I love when y'all vacation together.
I love that.
And that's accountability.
We've seen them.
And tell me about how important that is.
well, you always taught, I've heard it, learned it from, all of you guys and Pastor Chris and everyone, ARC and Pastor Lee and all the pastors you're mentioning, that accountability only works if it happens before.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's confession if it happens after.
Yeah, it's true.
Accountability is the system that you put in place to allow people access to every part of your life.
Right.
And I think that starts obviously with my best friend. Crystal's my best friend in the whole entire planet. And I would never be here or even dream of doing this without her. And so I think out of our relationship and love for one another, we just found other, couples that are just in our life that God did it. Started with JD and Leah at ARC, immediately best friends. My ARC coach was Justin Daly.
JD.
And I was like, dang, I needed a friend that I'm close with in Orlando. Justin Daly, best friend in Orlando.
That's a good friend
Get
to
to
have.
come into Orlando to action. Josh and Brittany Baird from Love Church, close with my dad, and that legacy family piece that you're talking about. Our dads doing ministry together about 30 miles apart our whole entire life, and never really grew up super close. But now that he's leading the church and we have a church,
Great job.
And then of course my brother Charlie and Jill, who are our best friends, and then my other brother Arlie and Wendy. And so we've just had to be intentional that we know that the enemy is after what God is doing. And God's going to help you do a bunch of things, but we also have to help. You got to put some people around in your life. So that's where the whole vacationing, birthdays,
So good.
6 to 10 times, no less than 6 to 10 times a year, we'll all be together.
That's amazing.
I would say you said we were best friends right away. I want to make sure that church planners know that we weren't best friends right away. Like it took a really long time, a lot of investment, a lot of time spent in. We very intentional, risky things. Like we met them. I met her in the bathroom. I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And then he sent him a tweet, and then we were when we both got accepted to ARC, it was like the third set. It's so different now. Like they changed it. We wanted to celebrate, and we were eating dinner together, and we were all alone. We didn't know anyone, and they knew so many people at ARC, and so we're like, "Come celebrate with us." And we hung out, and then it was like, "Come visit us at our house," and they drove. And so it was just
to make the effort.
Yes.
You felt a connection.
Boom.
But you had to make the effort.
and it takes risk and money and time.
You know somebody for 2 months, you're like, "Hey, you want to fly into our house?" And they're like, "This is serial killer. It's weird."
And it is a risk.
It is.
But the reward is
So
huge,
amazing.
in your life, in your kids' lives.
Yes.
I know for us, not only are our friendships with us and the other adults, but with the children.
Kids.
Now they're all adults. But they have relationships and they can be there for one another. I know that's been huge for our kids.
Absolutely.
You got to go after it.
You did.
You know, to
really
be,
did.
you know, to have friends, you
And
show
to cheer each other
yourself friendly.
on.
Yeah.
Yes. I think, you
big.
know, gosh, that's so important. Not to compete.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
Not
no.
to,
That's
you know,
nauseating.
be jealous
Yeah.
or disappointed if they have a big Sunday.
Yeah.
Or
100%.
But to honestly,
Yeah.
deep down,
Yeah.
want the best for them and want their
Yep.
kids to do well. I mean, that is everything. I think when you love somebody else's kids and they love yours back, that is real friendship and love.
That's next level.
Absolutely.
This has to be at least 6, 7 years ago. It would be either, but I remember it would have been you or Pastor Rob Ketterling gave language to best friends about what they do in your life. And I've never forgotten. We say it here all the time, is that if you want to know who to allow in your circle, they double your joy and cut your sorrow in half.
Yeah, it's Kettling.
Kettling,
That was Kettling.
I never, and I
we
remember
were
right,
roommates in Bible college.
right now, I remember being like, honey, let's find some people
Oh.
that are going to celebrate. They're going to double our joy. And when we're sorrowful, because we will, but there's going to be seasons.
Oh,
They're going to come, they're going to come in and they're going to cut that in half.
Yeah.
And it's
Look,
just,
we have been there for the Ketterlings. They've been there for us. Just thinking about them, I thought about one time Dylan went to hang with their boys.
Yeah.
He was probably 12 or 13, maybe older, somewhere in there, not too much
About
older.
that age.
And got a toothache while he was there. And they had to bring him to the dentist to have a tooth removed or all this.
pulled.
I'm like, I am so sorry.
They took care of him and then took him to a Twins game.
You know, and they're like, oh, no big deal. It's like one of ours. It's family.
That's it.
And that's what ARC is all about.
And what
family.
you see
That's
is
right.
you see
Love
people
it.
that sit back and say, no one's there for me.
No
one
one
loves
reaches
me.
out
No
to
one
me.
cares about me. No
Yes.
one's reaching out to me. You know, people made all these promises. And it's like, that's not how it works. If I'd have sat back and just said, well, I'm going to wait on everybody to come to me, I would
We'd be
one
waiting alone.
lonely in a cave, depressed person. And I never forget one time I got on a plane and flew 8 hours to be with someone for 2 hours. I'm not saying that for my sake. I wanted to be friends with that person, and I knew that they had a moment they were in a conference and they had a moment. He told me, and I thought I'm going to go spend 2 or 3 hours with them, you know, in the car, and we're going to have lunch, and because I wanted to know him, I wanted to glean from him, I wanted to learn from him, and then 3 hours later he got on a plane and left. I went back to the airport and flew back, and those 3 hours. Our relationship, it was like a nail. The nail went through the wood and connected. You know, and a lot of times you start all these nails and nothing ever connects. What you're saying is you had to take time to connect to someone else, and now you're fusing together something you're building together. So, and I said something at Kingdom Builders last night to your team, is that this space that is a miracle, phenomenal, world class. If you're building a building in the body of Christ right now, you want to come tour this building, especially the ladies' bathroom. And along with my wife, I took a tour last night of the women's bathroom. Y'all did things in there I've never seen done in any church in America, which is incredible. But what I was saying to your givers last night, and is this is a win for the kingdom of God. So when a church opens, it's a win for the people,
100%.
but there's always this win for the body of Christ that others are winning. You know, the water level is rising, and now all the boats are rising in the kingdom of God. And so give us real quick, we're going to wrap up, but tell us about this space, which is a miracle. 9 years old. We up in here in the big house.
It's gorgeous.
It started, like we were talking last night, as we were just, we love to tell our church and remind our church of God's goodness and His faithfulness, because we don't believe we'll see repeated what we won't celebrate. And what we don't keep reminding ourselves of the goodness of God. When we moved from the elementary school to renting this CVS, and it's beautiful in here, but you guys have seen this around, some of the other areas around are they're hurting. And
you're on a great visible location.
Yeah, it's got it right on an intersection.
God saved this for you.
He did, but it wasn't. It was out of the realm of possibility. It was going to be $12 million to purchase it in 2020, and that was the first time where our whole entire church family, every single January, again another play we got from ARC, from you guys, from everybody else. And my dad, we're going to enter a season of prayer, 21 days, January and August. And we did that. I said, when we did it, this is my dad, old school, anointing what we walked this whole entire property.
Old school.
Anointing the doors, the curbs, the electrical boxes.
You got the old school preacher voice right now.
I know, it's not. That's because we were laughing and having such a fun time last night. But I know it's not. But yeah, we just started marching and walking around this and saying, Lord, we believe.
Y'all were marching.
Oh, yeah.
And this is full of businesses, tenants. They're open up their blinds, looking up like, what are these crazy people doing? And we're like, formation, like, stop touching my space. And there was a Little Caesars, and I remember one time we were casting vision, and I said, I just don't know why, but I feel like one day, not just this building, but even the entire property, that Little Caesar's gonna go from pizza to Jesus.
Yeah.
That is so great.
Awesome.
And then
I love that.
through a miraculous favor of God and the people's giving. If you like what just is when the people come alongside the vision and just they're obedient and they give sacrificially, and now you're responsible for stewarding that well. We saw a miraculous move of God, and the price went from $12 million to $6 million after COVID, and we were able to purchase it in 2022. The whole entire space. We're standing in the Ollies. Good stuff cheap. That's the tagline. Good stuff cheap.
Old warehouse.
And you can get batteries, a puzzle, umbrella, some tile for the bathroom at Ollie's.
Good stuff cheap up in here.
And so we were able to purchase it, and then we immediately started renovating, and then the whole kind of thing went, Lord, thank you that this place, even that we're standing in now, it went from good stuff cheap to the best thing free.
Wow,
Jesus.
That's great.
That's amazing.
And
that's cool.
It's been an amazing journey. We're still, trying to finish up some things, but the future.
You went from how many seats?
We went from 480 to 1,500.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
I mean, you're multiple services. I was here one time when they were all sitting in the foyer, and I was like, and everybody was excited. And I said, "Josh, y'all the only ones excited? People sitting in the seats in the foyer,
You got to fix
excited. Open up the doors. They're watching a 16-inch television over here. This is not a good experience." And so,
100%.
I bet everybody does their best. And what would y'all say? And I would love for both of you to answer this as we wrap up this unscripted. This is the unscripted with my wife.
Unscripted.
We're gonna do more of these together. Okay, more of these together. But a young couple, they are setting up a tear down. Attendance has paused. They're not breaking records. It is hard. Money's low. Some team have quit. It's not wrong. They're not on the mountain. It's the valley. You've had valleys. We've had valleys. What would be your advice to that young pastor couple? They're 10 years younger than you. Man, they're in the middle school. They're trying to get to 300. And what do you encourage them with? Maybe Crystal, you can answer this, and then Josh.
Sure.
Yeah, I would just say keep showing up. Don't give up. Love the people right in front of you. I think a lot of people have asked us, like, even in our church, like, did you dream about all this? Like, can you believe? I'm like, no, I didn't dream about it. I just said yes. Like, you're just obedient, and you just show up and watch what God does. It's kind of the same thing with your marriage or your children. You just keep going. You just keep loving, and you keep showing up, and He does what He does. So that's what I would say is.
And I think too, one of the things is like, when we're working, even with our team, people like that, and we're looking at the life of our church and things like that. I think one of the things that got us through those low, and there's been
some lows.
There has been some, everybody has them, lows.
I have them,
But Crystal just said something that's so true that I remember, and something else we learned from y'all, from everybody else that goes, if you love the people that nobody wants, God will give you the people that everybody wants. And so I think it's a matter of our perspective. How do we know that that's low? Getting our eyes on the people that are there, that God has, loving them. You always say this, your church, you meet needs. So if you got 20 people and it's a terrible season, take those 20 people and go meet a need. Go love some people. You always said that the best, and Rick Warren, the best growth strategy is if you'll just love people you'll have to lock the doors to keep people out.
Yeah,
That's so
that would be Rick Warren. I would not have said that.
It can be with the servolution.
But I want to give the correct shout out to Rick Warren. Anything I've said good, I got from somebody else. So I just want to clarify. But you're right about that, because I know you're doing the grocery giveaway now. I've constantly watched cars ride by here.
Wow.
And a couple of them were the same car, and I saw your boy Brandon Guy, and I'm just checking them out. So law enforcement over here, just okay. We got a situation, we got law enforcement. But then what would you say to that answer, that young couple that, I know there were times that we would hit lids, and we're not adding to the worship team. You led our worship, and there would be bad Sundays. I mean, there would be Sundays that you'd get in the car and you were like, wow, we got to do better. We're not there. I don't know if I'd go to this church. I mean, I think every pastor who's ever planted or started something, sometimes you walk out and think, I don't know if I would attend it.
Totally.
I was preaching bad. You were always singing good. But we have challenges with our facilities and challenges with team. What do you say to that couple who feels like, man, this thing's not catching fire like everybody else, because I'm seeing it on social media and all that, craziness?
I feel exactly what Crystal said. I think so many people think they have to have this huge dream and this huge vision. And yes, that is awesome and we need that. But I know for me, I felt like God would just put something in my hand in every step of the way with our church, with worship. It wasn't this vision, in prayer, but just Delynn, okay, I need you to lead worship now. I need you to help build this church.
You were in the nursery those first year.
You gotta, yes, whatever you have to do. And I think too, don't overthink it all.
100%.
I think if we overthink it all, we're all
That's
depressed.
so good.
We're all in the dumps,
That
and
is
we
so
think
good.
we're in over our heads. And so that always was one of my issues, is to be over. He was the visionary, and I was the reality girl. So it was, oh my gosh, we can't do this. This is way too much, because he would have this vision, and I'm like, but how are we going to really do this?
Right.
We've got babies, and we don't have enough money to do all this. And but if you just keep doing it, and you just keep showing up, I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
Yeah, it's a long game.
And it's
a very long game.
It's always better than the bad days.
Yeah.
You remember the good days more than you do the bad days. And you just keep doing it.
I think I don't know, I should have said this before when you were talking about that, but Delynn, one of the things too, we're like, what do you say the planet? That goes all back to how we even started this thing, relationships. Our friends in our life have saved our life during the low moments. And in the low moments is when you don't disengage. That's a temptation now. You lean in
That is so true.
even harder when you're lower. The lean in has to be more, it has to be greater. And for every church planter that's going to watch this, every person that's in a low season, every person that's, you need to know that you matter more than you think that you matter.
Totally.
You're doing better than you think that you're doing.
Yeah.
And what you're going through is less about you than you think that it is.
Well, you think, well, if I communicate to my friend or tell somebody we had a bad Sunday, or somebody just quit, or our money's low, it's going to be embarrassing. But if you're leaning into a friend in a weak moment, it's empowering. The enemy tells you it's embarrassing, and they're going to think less of you. The reality is, it is empowering. They'll think more of you, because if you keep being embarrassed, you'll never open up, you'll isolate. And normally when you're isolated, you'll make terrible decisions, bad decisions for your spirit, your soul, your church, your family. And but it takes all that. I mean, and being willing to do everything that God allows us. I love what Rich Jr. says. He says, don't go pro, man. Don't go pro. Stay an amateur. Don't go pro. Just stay in the game. Just be just whatever. I can remember Delynn, in that first year or two of the church, she would lead worship. We didn't have a hallway.
So many times.
She would walk outside, go outside the outside door, run down the outside of the building, go to the little nursery area, help with the kids. When I would start closing, somebody go in and wave it at her. She'd come back out in her heels, run back down the driveway, come in this jacked up door, end up on stage. And it was like, we just, we were not thinking, okay, hopefully we'll hurry and get out of this. Hopefully we'll have a hallway. I mean, that would have been awesome, but we probably were committed to do that forever. We didn't know We're going to do what's right in front of us.
To it.
Yeah.
We're showing up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes for great planters and pastors. I think that speaks into our longevity, to keep the right heart for these things. Man, we love you guys, man. It's been this incredible space. And I hope people come and see this. We need to do an ARC event here so people could see it. It's great. Just incredible what God's done. And so it's been great to have
love you guys
Josh
so much.
and Crystal Whitlow from Heights Church in Richmond, Virginia, and my lovely wife, Delynn Monique Rizzo on Unscripted. Shout out.
Love you all so much.
Thanks a lot.
Love you guys.
At ARC, relationships are everything. We don't just plant churches, we build life-giving communities that transform cities for the glory of God. With ARC, you're never alone in the journey, and we want to provide practical coaching, resources, financial models that are rooted in generosity, help you plant a church, a large launch church to thrive from day one. If you feel called to plant a church, you want to partner with us to plant more ARC churches, we want to help that. So join a network of more than 1,132 church plants, thousands of partners in the ARC family making a real difference. One community at a time, let's plant more churches. So visit arcchurches.com to learn more. Plant with us, partner with us. Together we can reach more people through the message of Jesus Christ. And it takes existing churches to be sending churches to plant new churches. Let's do it together.